Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane. We have for you today a 1 versus 1 on Semois. Yes, indeed, Semois, that lovely little quiet village. As always, and in the northern corner, as the Wehrmacht Commander 352nd Grenadier Division, ready to hold back the Allied tide. We have Gaurav 251 or Hauptmann Gaurav, ready to defeat the Yankees. And who shall be opposing the mighty Germans? It is AlCOHolic. Sounds like an unfortunate American commander with a alcohol problem. 4th Infantry Division, of course. Well, not really, I don't know if there were any alcohol problems there, but let's just pretend there is. Able company and ready to take on Jerry and beat them back to Germany. So let's get this started after a brief introduction for those who don't know the map. Urban village right in the center, small cemetery, plenty of buildings, going to certainly make things a bit hard for Volksgrenadiers, as there will be plenty of buildings blocking their line of sight, making it easier for American infantry to get close. We have the victory points on a nice line throughout the map. We have the only 2 high yield points, munitions, near the outermost victory points, and we have a few low yield fuel points, and the only medium yield and only other fuel points are right next to the bases, and of course prime targets for harassment, and some players are known to lay down barbed wire to protect them. Anyhow, let's get this started and see how this clash will go. Will it be the 352nd that holds back the American tide, winning the fight for another day, or will it be the Americans that push through the German lines, causing chaos to the entire German army? Pioneers on the field, a regular Wehrmacht quarter and barracks start from either side. Nothing irregular or highly exciting there, it's rather the usual thing. Machine gun emplacements and bunkers all around the bases, of course, protecting any vital points directly in, preventing base rushing, or in this case also blocking off of this road emplacement via the use of barbed wire, so that can also be handy for some players. Volksgrenadiers on the way. Certainly not a bad start, as the MG42 can be a bit vulnerable, and the bike is not too tough, since the most likely thing out of a barracks is of course going to be riflemen. And I wager we'll be seeing that in a few minutes, while the pioneers are busy seizing territory. And the first Volksgrenadier team is on the field, and at the same time we see the rifleman has also arrived from Major AlCOHolic. Haha, a little pun, I suppose. And we see no barbed wire has been laid down at either fuel point. Certainly not irregular, as yes, I think those actually laying down barbed wire are a bit in the minority, but it's certainly not a bad move, and while it does cost time, it also gives you time to protect them when the enemy goes straight for them. Volksgrenadiers going straight for this munition point, while the riflemen are headed in a completely opposite direction, going straight for this low fuel point, meaning the American most likely has some sort of fuel high strategy. And we see a jeep, Willys jeep with a 30 cal on top, moving in. Volksgrenadiers being fired upon out in the open, seizing the point, although they have stopped now, which is good, meaning they won't be so easy to hit. The jeep trying to maneuver around, not doing much, and seemingly forced to pull back and opening fire again. Volksgrenadiers potentially taking the point and rendering it neutral, yes indeed, and continuing to capture. Riflemen perhaps spotting this and moving towards to support the jeep, and against the Volksgrenadiers apparently not. A bit odd actually. Second Volksgrenadier team on the way. They're probably going to run right into these riflemen. Road has been taken by the Volksgrenadiers, cutting off the Americans from all their resources. Volksgrenadiers running right into riflemen, forced to pull back, as the riflemen do have the advantage behind that old pickup truck. Volksgrenadiers though turning the table on the American, seizing the building, and the American quickly discovering this, pulling back the riflemen before they end up in an unfavorable situation, since they would not have been able to win that engagement. Volksgrenadiers trying to lay down barbed wire, and of course the machine gun nest suppressing them. In fact, one Volksgrenadier is killed, and perilously close for his corpse to fall into this small canal. Foes Grenadiers still hanging around here. Riflemen apparently getting impatient and storming the front, exposing themselves to further fire, but again moving towards the side, meaning there will only be one Foes Grenadier actually able to fire back. Window placement on buildings can be quite vital, so it's good to try and memorize them at least a bit, or at least remember the rule of thumb that on the shorter sides there generally won't be so many windows, although some buildings will defy this logic and have plenty of windows. We see an MG42 team going to move in, absolutely no support, or it seemed like there was no support. Foes Grenadiers moving, now grabbing the pickup truck as cover, and MG42 quickly suppressing the riflemen who are quickly to rush behind the building, gaining complete defilade cover, meaning they are completely out of sight and out of fire. Foes Grenadiers moving in, going to seize the building as the pinned down riflemen can't move quick enough. And now the riflemen are exposed out in the open and forced to retreat, although it's just barely. The Foes Grenadiers could easily have lost this fight, though being of low health. Small fighting going down here, engineers sneaking into the building and seizing the territory behind the pioneers' back. Further fighting in the strategic point connecting AlCOHOLic to most of the 4th Infantry Division, fighting hard to hold this point. Albeit the 352nd Grenadiers are certainly also fighting hard to keep this out of American hands and limit their fuel and munitions income quite a lot. Foes Grenadiers barely making out of there as the Jeep continues to hunt them down mercilessly. Small counterattack in the north going on. Pioneers and Foes Grenadiers moving in to stop this attempt at harassment. What will he be up to? A Reich headquarters upgrade for the skirmish phase, meaning we'll probably be seeing a Krieg barracks unless Gaurav decides to skip it and go directly for the Sturm Armory, which is not entirely recommendable. And let's see what the American is up to. Is he perhaps going for BARs? No, another rifleman team, which will give him 4 rifleman teams. And he certainly does have manpower and fuel for a BAR upgrade, but let's see where he goes. Could be he goes for supply depot. Foes Grenadiers caught out in the open. Riflemen storming them. Automatics or semi-automatic rifles winning over the bolt action rifles of the Foes Grenadiers, who are now being slaughtered. 4 down while one last man makes it out of there. Another attempt at rendering this point neutral and once more cutting off the Americans for this part. Certainly aggressive harassment from the 352nd Hauptmann Gaurav. Good job indeed, and the Americans doing the same as well on this point. Sneaky, sneaky. And we see a triage center going up, actually. A bit surprising. And we see apparently now AlCOHOLic's 4th Infantry Division actually going for this medium munitions point, which is certainly not uncommon that it is ignored for some time and then later seized, if at all, since it's not really in any sort of direct capping order that leads right into the main part of the map. Foes Grenadiers going past a wrecked Jeep, which means the Americans have down one unit. Still no BARs or anything. Triage center is up though, which is certainly to the advantage. Engineers rushing up on the Foes Grenadiers, flamethrower in a hand. Foes Grenadiers heavily wounded, going to have to pull back, possibly even retreat, as they are now going to be close to death, and the engineers are continuing to hound them with their flamethrowers. One Foes Grenadiers catching fire, his corpse sliding into the river and disappearing for all eternity. And now the engineers are setting up barbed wire to protect this small choke point. MG42 still managing to hold this strategic point out of American hands, and we see further barbed wire here. Perhaps might even see a mine there, since if they do clear away some of the barbed wire, will only be usually 1 point, and then it'll funnel the troops, meaning they'll be taking even more damage from mines. Good to know. And we see Gaurav has gone for a Grenadier squad Grenadier team to actually support his troops. Not a bad thing, as Grenadiers do a lot more damage, are much tougher and much more accurate, and are certainly among the best infantrymen in this game, actually.
Krauts have cut forward supply lines.
And we see the MG42 cutting down a engineer team on retreat. And we see some minor fighting going on here. Full Grenadiers and Grenadiers forcing back this very low numbered rifleman team. Pioneers moving in to clear away the wire, the jeep apparently being part of this small blockade. Some action going up in the north. Riflemen going one way, Full Grenadiers and Pioneers the other way. Always just missing each other, and we see the Pioneers running right into this mine which had been laid down, but Full Grenadiers and Grenadiers are quick to move in. We see a few riflemen having taken up this building to watch this intersection and provide some delay to German troops, since it's not exactly a great idea to be exposed to this fire, but due to low numbers and no actual BARs to provide heavy fire support, although now it is actually going up, they could not do much. Perhaps he was counting on the BAR upgrade to be ready before the German troops arrive, but now he might have to pull back, although further rifleman teams are moving in. A small squad, plenty of BARs actually this time around, forcing the German troops into this building, into cover, and now the riflemen are the ones out in the open, facing accurate German fire. Might end up badly. You also see a weapon support center has gone up alongside a supply yard, and a sniper's out for the Americans. Americans trying to take cover, and a slightly more awkward angle for the German defenders, meaning not all of the troops can actually get aim at them. Full Grenadiers leaving the building, leaving the more accurate and strong Grenadiers the actual open windows. MG42 moving in to suppress the Americans from the other angle, forcing them out of cover and back towards this area. Will they conduct a larger retreat, or will they set up a defensive position here? Who knows? And looks like the Pioneers are having fun here, not being contested at all by American troops, although this area has been cut off due to this point being seized, and we see the riflemen going for this point. Full Grenadiers nearby may move in to interdict the Americans, and we're also seeing a bunker going up for Gaurav, most likely, considering the placement, it's going to be a medic bunker. Nice and central position, although not awfully protected, so it could easily be knocked out. At the same time, the medics can reach around and pick up troops from a lot of positions. Americans gearing up for an assault. A pack has also been sent to the field, but it's quickly moving into more secure position. Full Grenadiers and Grenadiers trying to hold back this flanking attempt, as American troops are moving in from the south, while it looks like snipers and some engineers running around in the north, pulling further and further back. MG42 team pulling back as well. Bunker apparently being the Schwerpunkt of this defensive effort. Let's go back at Gaurav and see what's going on. No medic upgrade yet, although lacking the munitions, and he has gone for defensive for the fatherland, and possibly, most likely, in fact, also the upgrade that allows him to reinforce from bunker.